Hey guys, today I want to do a quick camera review of my Nikon Z7. I bought this camera 2 weeks ago. I did a couple photo shoot with it. I just want to share some of my experience with this camera. How do I feel like it? What do I like? What do I don't like? If any one of you want to think about switching from DSLR to mirrorless, hopefully this video will help you to make your decision. So first, let's talk about the part that I like about this camera. Actually, there are quite a bit of stuff that I like about this camera. The first thing and the most important thing is the autofocusing. The autofocusing performance of this camera, I think for mirrorless camera in general, is much better than DSLR. The reason is, I believe, is because they check the focusing directly on the sensor. So it's a different technology compared with DSLR that makes the autofocusing much better. The thing I note, the most difference I notice is when I'm shooting under low light situation or when I'm shooting strong backlighting. I can tell the autofocusing on this camera is much better compared with my D810. Low light situation, also strong backlighting, is the lighting condition that I use the most, so this make a big difference for me. Talking about the autofocusing, I also want to mention about the manual focusing, because this camera is quite good for manual focusing as well. It has the focus peaking. I know that some DSLR has focus peaking as well, but you have to shoot with the live view mode. But we all know the live view mode on DSLR, they're quite slow. This is much faster. The second thing is you can zoom in to see the through viewfinder to zoom in 100%. You can see clearly if the image is going to be in focus or not. I just feel this camera going to be a lot better if I using a manual focusing lens in the future. If I invest a Zeiss lens, and this camera going to be much better. I tried the manual focusing lens on my DSLR before. It's horrible. You can barely tell if the image is in focus or not, but it just looks through the viewfinder. This one has the focus peaking plus 100%. I think you can even zoom in 300%, up to 300%. That's going to help you focusing accuracy a lot. So the second thing I like about the camera is the EVF. I'm quite impressed with the quality, the resolution of the EVF, and also how quick it responds. If I changing my angles, and then it's very fast, and the resolution is really high. I can review my photos through the EVF as well. When I'm shooting outside, when it's so bright, I don't have to like before the LCD is like the flare everything. So I can just look through my EVF. I can clearly see if there's any problem. Exposure, everything is okay, and then I can see the histogram, like a lots of information I can see over here. I found I really like this EVF. The next thing I want to talk about this camera is the on-camera image stabilization. If your camera don't have this function, you're missing a lot. I was using Nikon D810 for 4 years, 5 years. I don't have image stabilization. I never realized how much I missed till I have a camera that has that function. As you know, I like to use strobe light blend with ambient light. Under certain situation, I have to make my shutter speed really slow in order to make the two light blend naturally. With DSLR, it's very hard when you shutter speed getting like lower than a 1/100. You get into that dangerous zone. You shoot and you're kind of like, I'm not sure if the image is gonna be clear. With this one, it's much better. It says, I think it's 3. You can shoot like 3 stops slower. I tried this camera with as slow as a 1/42, and the image is very clear, and there's no blur, and the focus is right on. I don't even think I'm pushing the limit for this camera. So image stabilization is another huge bonus if you switch to mirrorless. Okay, now I'm going to talk about a couple of things that's only apply to Nikon user or the people who thinking about switching to Nikon Z6 or Z7. The first thing is the Nikon new mount, the Z mount, is much bigger than the original one. So that opens a lot of possibilities. So they can design a much faster lens. They're releasing the 50 f.95. I hope in the near future there will be third-party lens release to make it affordable for most of the people, so we can all enjoy the f.95 lens. It's not there yet, but it's definitely possible. So I'm kind of excited about this new mount. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you're a Nikon user, you switch to Z7, you will find that most of the menu, they're quite similar to what you used to have. Most of the time, you don't need to read the user manual, then you can find the functions that you're looking for. So that's very handy. Okay, let's talk about the part that I don't like about this camera. The first thing is kind of a major one. Sync speed. 1/200 a second is slow. My D810 is better than this. My D810 can shoot as fast as a 1/320 a second without triggering the high-speed sync. The key is I try to avoid shooting high-speed sync modes as much as I can. I did a video about this a while ago to explain why is that. To give you some quick idea, high-speed sync mode is a compromise solution. So it will cut off your light output. Because of that reason, you need bigger strobe light, you need a much more powerful strobe light, and they're going to cost you a lot more money, they're going to be much heavier, it will slow you down. So I try to avoid high-speed sync mode as much as I can, and I prefer a camera that has a faster sync speed. But this one is only 1/200. It's not good, but there's a workaround. You can use ND filter. I also have another video talking about using ND filter shooting on location using strobe light. So I tried this one with ND filter. The result is pretty good. I'll share some photos later on. My recent photo shoot with this camera and ND filter with my Profoto B2, and then you can see the result. But anyway, I just wish this camera has a faster sync speed. So that's the number one thing I don't like about this camera. The second thing about this camera is, I think this is the nature of the mirrorless camera. Because it's such a small body, there are not many buttons there. I like to quickly change my settings. I kind of rely on that the camera has like many buttons for me to quickly change setting of autofocusing, white balance, focusing mode, a quick change of ISO, stuff like these things. This one is not as good as DSLR because there are not many buttons there, and also the layout of the button is not as good as DSLR as well. Most of the buttons are over one side of the camera, and then some certain functions you need to hold the button, then turn the command out. Then because everything is on one side, it's not like the DSLR. You can use your left hand to press the button, and the right hand to change the command out. It's much easier that way. But you're just not gonna have this with mirrorless. It's just something you have to live with it. Okay, I also want to mention something that they look good on the paper, but actually they didn't make much difference. I think they're just good for marketing. It's just good for good for helping the camera manufacturer to sell the camera, but actually they don't make a huge difference for us. So let's start from the first thing is the sensor. This one is a 45 megapixels. My older camera is 36 megapixels. Let me tell this: if I open two images, one is 45, one is 45, one is 36 megapixels, I won't be able to tell the difference. It doesn't feel like the resolution is that much higher. But I think we do pay a lot of money for this high resolution sensor. The second thing is about the weight and size. It is lighter, it is smaller, but holding on my hand, I don't feel there's a huge difference right there. Talking about the size, even though it's a smaller camera, but to use my other Nikon lens, I have to use an adapter. So add them together, it feels the same. After you put in your camera bag, you don't feel there's much space gets saved there. So it's pretty much the same. Okay, next one. What I'm gonna talk about next one. Oh, the dynamic range and ISO. So they're saying this one's supposed to have a better dynamic range, and the ISO should be better. Uh, I don't see a difference there. Is like my workflow is exactly the same. I shoot the same way. With my D810 and with this one, I don't see I can recover so much detail on the shadows. No, I don't see that. Or there's a way less noise on this image. No, I don't see that. I didn't shoot and like the ISO like thousands like 12,000 ISO. No, I don't shoot that. Like that's just not the way I'm shooting. I usually shoot like ISO 400 probably the highest. Within that range, I don't see difference at all. So it's something, it just looked good on the paper. Okay, so what will I pick between DSLR and mirrorless? I will say I'll pick mirrorless. I mean, even though this camera has like slower sync speed, which I hate, also the button's awkward. I probably never gonna get used to it, but just have to deal with it. But the other thing is everything else is just either so much better or better. Autofocusing is so much better. Dealing with low light, right, and very strong backlighting, the autofocusing is much better. And those are important for me. Also, the on-camera image stabilization, I can shoot very slow shutter speed. That's important for me when I'm blending my strobe with the ambient light. These two things will make me to make the choice of mirrorless. And on top of that, they also have many other little things. They have this cool EVF, right, and better auto white balance. I noticed auto white balance is definitely better. Not a huge deal, but it's better. Has a Wi-Fi. I can transfer my image to the smartphone, iPad wirelessly. And when I'm doing a workshop or I'm doing commercial shoot, then I can wirelessly transfer an image to my clients or my students' phones, so I don't have to keep showing the back of my cameras. It's very good. This one has a better video as well, right? So all these little things. And yeah, here's a little bit better, there's a little bit better. And then we add all these things together, it's a much better camera compared with DSLR, right? So the other thing is, I do believe the mirrorless is going to be the future. So if you pick mirrorless, yeah, I think you'll be in a little better position in terms of future-proof, right? For example, this one has the Z mount, so who knows, they're going to release a really cool lens, and then with Z mount that you really want, then at least you're able to use it because you have the right camera, right? So anyway, so this is what I want to share with you guys. Hopefully it will help you to, like what I said, make your decision if you're in the market looking for your next camera and you cannot decide between mirrorless and DSLR. Just keep in mind, so this review is a little bit focusing on the portrait photography and also shooting with strobe light. So certain things matters to me, probably doesn't matter to you. If you're shooting a landscape, you probably don't care about sync speed. So then that's a bonus for you. But anyway, thank you very much, and then I'll see you next time.